Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Skullgirls Get Gr8. This is the audio test. We will be starting soon. Please let me know if any of the commentators this week are a little too loud or a little too quiet. We want all of us to be about equally as loud, and the game should be just barely audible. There's only me today, I think. What else is there? If there are any recommendations that you would like to provide, please feel free to do so. We want the stream to be just perfect for you. I sound a little quiet. Wait, really? That ain't right. I'm in the sweet spot for audio, for the most part. I can turn myself up a little bit. You love this announcer voice? My voice is so raspy right now because I just woke up. I almost overslept again. Ah, Christ. Hey, it was good. I appreciate the comment, though. Thank you, Rojo. But I'll have you know, this voice only gets better. Do I work nights or do I have weird times? No, neither. I have insomnia. I sleep like 1 day a week. I basically wait until I fall into a coma. Otherwise, I sleep 2 to 3 hours a night, if I'm lucky. The worst part is whenever I do get sleep, it's not good sleep. It's like filled with nightmares and crap. Kinda dumb. Such a waste of my time. I'll sleep when I'm dead, seriously. You got 6 hours of sleep last night? God damn. I hope your play reflects that, man. You better not drop a single combo with that level of fucking sentience. Hey, it's Swagga. How you doing, buddy? I haven't hung out with you in a minute. Or at least it feels like it's been a minute. I haven't really done much with friends in general. I feel kind of bad. I've only been hanging out with people like twice a week. Oh, you said commentator voice was a little quiet. I remember someone saying that. I'll turn it up a little bit. Let me know if this is too loud or if that one person was just crazy. Like, if you want me to turn it back, that'd be better. There is a pandemic going on, so don't feel too bad. I mean, I don't know. I sound pretty good? Alright, good to know. Thank you very much. I sound fine. That's what I like to hear. What else? What else? It's a little weird that I'm quiet. Is it just like not getting enough power out of the USB port or something? That's weird. That has happened. I'm gonna reset my audio system. Alright. We're back. Let's see. Let's see. If you are participating today, please join the Steam group chat. You can find the Steam group chat by typing !BG8 chat. Oh, that's not. No, don't join that. Don't join that. !GG8 chat. No, that's not right either. !GG8 chat. Into Twitch chat, and you'll be provided a link. And that link will take you to our Steam group chat. That is where you will communicate with me about any logistics. If you have trouble getting into lobbies, if you have any questions on how anything works, or what is the ruling on certain things, that's where you talk to me. That's where you can communicate logistics with me. If you communicate with me anywhere else, that's, I guess, fine, but just be aware that there's a very reasonable chance I may not respond. Because I can't check 4 different places that people are talking at the same time. In modern day society, one must keep their eye on their Steam group chat, and the Discord, and the Twitch chat, and their Venmo, and their... I'm just kidding about the Venmo part. Fuck Venmo. Yo, fuck Venmo. What a shitty app. It's just like a slightly worse PayPal. It's like if they took PayPal and added a chat system to it, and that's it. What is the speed of light through water? Light is refracted in water, but the speed of light doesn't change. Speed of light can only be affected by gravity. And water does not affect gravity. Because while light has the properties of particles, you know, because they're photons, they're not normal particles. Go fucking figure. What? It can be affected by Bose-Einstein condensate, but not by water. Oh shit, it does. Why? Why does it do that? That makes no fucking sense. Even if there's a brick wall in front of you, you shine light on it, light will just bounce off and make sure it keeps going the same speed. That makes no sense. Why does this do this? Light travels at approximately blah blah blah. Diamond. Okay. Because of the enormous journey. I'll read into this. I feel embarrassed. I'm sorry that I got this wrong, but I don't understand how or why. Light is slowed down in transparent media, such as air, water, and glass. The ratios by which it's slowed down is called a refractive index. Why? Why? I will look into this. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Doc. This is blowing my mind, and I'm mildly upset that I didn't know this. But it also confuses me because it breaks the understanding of how I understand photons working. Commentates goes on about how refraction slows down light. Yeah, light refracts in water, I know that, but refraction shouldn't affect the speed of light. I don't see... That would imply that like, there's a lower speed limit to physics in underwater. That makes no fucking sense. Why wouldn't it? Because the speed of light is the speed limit at which physics can operate. Even as you approach the speed of light, like say you were going 10 gazillion miles an hour, the speed of light would still be operating at the speed of light. You wouldn't see photons reach your speed. It's not like a normal functional speed, right? Because like, if you were going like at the speed of light minus 1%, the speed of light is relative, because, you know, relative physics. So the speed of light would still be going at the speed of light, even if you were going really, really fast. Water is a resistance substance. Like, it slows things down. but it doesn't matter because the speed of light, but because the physics inside your body, like the photons or not the photons, the particles inside your body still react at the same rate. So because of that, the speed of light should not be affected at all. No, because that does mean something. Because if that was true, then so if I was going at 230 kilometers per second, I can physically still do that without breaking the laws of physics. In the speed, because the speed of light is still higher than that. It's at 300,000, right? If I was underwater, what you're telling me is that now I would suddenly not be physically able to go that fast. And I don't understand why. That would also mean that water physically could never move faster than 225 kilometers per second. Basic postulate theory of relativity that the speed of light is a constant can be broken down to two parts. The speed of light is independent of the motion of the observer, and the speed of light does not vary with time and place. In a vacuum, according to what I'm reading right now, Dan Mist, that's true in a vacuum, but it might not be true underwater, but that doesn't make any sense. Because, that would mean that water cannot physically go faster than 225,000 kilometers per second, which blows my mind. I don't understand why that would be the case. I will have to look into that. Anyways, we got 3 sets today. It's been 40 minutes and we haven't even done a single one. Let's actually take our heads out of quantum physics for a moment, just for a moment, and focus on this thing today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Skullgirls Get Gr8. Hey there, Variant, you made it in time for me to have a mental breakdown about the quantum nature of particle speed. But anyway, welcome to Skullgirls Get Gr8. What we do here is we match you up against a relatively even opponent and then provide constructive criticism on your play. We won't tell you everything that's wrong with your play, but we will tell you just enough so you have something to work on throughout the week. If you feel like we didn't tell you enough for you to have something to work on throughout the week, feel free to reach out to us. You'll analyze your matches in a more detailed fashion, and we will provide even more detail on something that you could be working on. But other than that, we don't want to overwhelm you. We don't want to tell you everything that's wrong with your play because you got to practice a little bit at a time. Otherwise, you will get overwhelmed and not make any progress at all. That is a very deliberate decision we do. Our first matchup of the day is... I have no freaking clue. Give me 1 second. Turk Toss versus Trash Robo Player, which is Selfish King. Turk Toss versus Selfish King. Let's go. I love derailing. I mean, me too. I guess it depends. Because I used to teach a class at a college, and I would derail all the time. Like, the actual substance of the class only took about 30 minutes, but the class would go on for 2 hours. And 3 people loved it, 2 people hated it. And the people that loved it, even then, they said I should have toned it down a bit. So I feel kind of bad whenever I derailed this long. Well, the 3 people and 2 people is specifically the one time I surveyed. I should specifically say. 1998 Danish physicist. Oh. Harvard. Succeeded in slowing down a beam of light to about 17 meters per second. They did that in a Bose-Einstein condensate. Yes, I know exactly what you're referring to. If you've gone faster than 17 meters per second in the speed of light in a Bose-Einstein condensate, yes, because particles function differently in Bose-Einstein condensate. It's the 5th state of matter. Look into it. Bose-Einstein condensates are fascinating. Like, random pieces of plastic will suddenly become magnetic and stuff. It's, like, really, really weird. You have to be at, like, negative, or, like, what's it called? At 3 Kelvin or less to be at, like, a Bose-Einstein condensate or something. It's incredibly interesting. Lobby link? Oh, did I not provide that? I am so sorry. Give me 1 second. Here you go. Are you asking me, Ray? I'm a software engineer. I also do game dev on the side. And I'm also into real estate. I have 3 jobs. Strange, interesting, tantalizing. Just like the balance issues in Tekken. Talking about high-level quantum physics, this tells me Crank is a Squig player. Yeah, even I can't tell you why Squig can low-profile the things that she does. She low-profiles the universe itself. Block that. Good stuff. No, you push blocked. No counter. Or what's it called? No counter hit. That is punishable. You should have push blocked earlier, I should say. You should have push blocked the first hit. Unfortunate. Okay, where are we at? Medium K, to hairball. Alright, Turk Toss. It's time you learn DB&B, but I will tell you about that later. This crouching medium kick gives you like a second and a half to hit confirm. Eventually, you should be able to hit confirm in literally like 0.8 seconds. You also shouldn't be hit confirming crouching medium kick, but it's fine because almost every beginner does, because Philly is really, really fast. Remember, after even if you don't know anything, you do know you can cancel into crouching, or I mean not crouching. You know you can cancel into hairball, so after crouching hard punch you should have at least done hairball because I've seen you do it at least once. Start building that instinct. Start building like, alright, where can I go from here? Where can I go from here? Eventually you're gonna hit this point when you're at lower mid-level, you'll hit this point where you might not be super consistent or anything like that, but you will be able to just make up routes in your head. Like you will be able to be like, okay, well I know that after a heavy I can always go into hairball, so I can go into hairball. Oh, I know after hairball I can always go into Upbeats or Gregor or whatever. I guess I can always go into Gregor. Oh, I know after Gregor I can always go into a wall bounce, and then I can always do a combo from there. That will not be optimal by any means, but at least you have like a flow in your head, you know, like you have this mapped out understanding of a character. You need to build that. IAD, yeah, there you go. There are two ways to IAD in this game. There's the Guilty Gear shortcut, which is up forward, back to neutral, and then forward. So you buffer the forward motion, the first forward motion, so you get up forward and then forward, and that gives you an instant air dash. The other way is to press 2 punch buttons after 4 frames of you jumping. If you don't know frame data, don't worry about it. But if you press 2 punch buttons after you press up forward with a slight delay, like it can't be at the same time, but just like it'll feel like it's the same time, but it's slightly off, then you will get an instant air dash. Don't push back hairball, just punish her. Oh, can you do that? How minus is hairball, Tom? I don't know anything about Philia. Like, I am improvising as I go. Definitely punishable with any light normal. Okay. And push blocking makes it worse? Like, can I not just get a heavy counter hit if I push block the first hit? Okay, don't end block strings in heavies. This is a very common mistake, where because people are still trying to understand the game or like kind of mentally processing things, what you want to do is always press light medium and then wait to hit confirm is what we call it, into a heavy. And what that means is, I mean, you might already know what hit confirm means. I honestly don't know how much knowledge you have in fighting games. But when you hit confirm, it's basically you're physically reacting to what you see after the light medium. If you saw that they got hit by the medium, then you can press the heavy button, and it will almost always connect. If you feel like you're a little too slow to connect with the heavy, you will get there. Like, it will happen. So start practicing that. Do not go past the medium. Mediums are pseudo safe, and lights are always safe. Ideally, if you were playing at the maximum highest level possible, you'd be hit confirming off of 2 hits of a light, and that's it. But no one does that. Like, even at the highest level of play, no one does that. You will almost always go into it. UHC punishes, etc. are okay. Okay. They're all minus 15. Oh, interesting. They're all minus 15 on block? Wait, does that mean Philia can punish that? Philia could... What is standing hard punch on Philia? Philia... Damn, Shoryuken was such an important part of Skullgirls history at this point that, like, you still, to this day, do not get an automatic link to the Mizumi Wiki. Where the hell is the Mizumi Wiki? There it is. I apologize, Turk Toss and Trash Roboplay. Like, none of you should be caring about frame data at all right now, but, like, this is something that's blowing my mind. Philly is minus 15 after hairball. There's standing hard punch. is... Why is standing hard punch not listed here? What's going on? What? Why is standing hard punch not listed here? There it is. Standing hard punch startup is 12. You can block, not push block, and then heavy counter hit hairball with Filia. That's fat. That's fantastic. What a character. What a character. Nice. Alright, so let's see this Robo double Bella shenanigans. Okay, wait. Nice Luger, nice hit confirm. Well, I mean, it wasn't a hit confirm. You got hit on low the second time. As a from a defensive standpoint, Turkos, you pretty much always want to be down backing, unless you think your opponent's gonna do an overhead. This is a very general statement. This is not something that everyone will agree with. But if you're just down backing and then you react to, oh, my opponent jumped into the air, they're probably gonna go for an overhead and then switch to a high block. Like that's like what you're gonna do. Can you slide hairball? Probably not, because frame perfect interactions in Skullgirls are inconsistent in my opinion. I know this because Squiggly has a move where she'd be able to make a frame perfect link, but it doesn't happen, which is very unfortunate. So I wouldn't even try to do that. On top of that, why would you go for slide where you can just go for a heavy counter hit anyways? The slide is a command normal, which means I think it would be a medium counter hit, just like any special. I could be wrong about that, but like I'm pretty sure that's the case. Push block, nothing to do afterwards. So if you're gonna push block, oh, okay, so the Bella mindset is to think like a monkey, alright? Like, I'm dead serious. Seriously. So if you push block that, get ready to do something right afterwards. Like, go into lock and load, go into, like, if you go into lock and load right away, what's the worst that can happen? You're gonna take one hit onto your armor, and then you can go into Diamond Dynamo and counter hit them, right? Otherwise, they're forced to block lock and load, which is hilarious. Robo. Alright, raw tag. This is one raw tag I will let fly. You are raw tagging a lot though. Are you actually? Yeah, you are, right? Like you switched into Robo and double multiple times with raw tag. The only raw tag on your team that's actually even remotely acceptable is Bella. Unless you're going for like a weird knockdown. Then you can tag into Robo and then send him flying, build ahead, and then go into like beam stuff. But that's very that's a little sketch. Like you shouldn't do that. But for the in general, if you go into Bella raw tag, like that's one of the ones that's a little bit more ambiguous, so you're more likely to hit your opponent. It's a little bit more accessible. In general, you don't want to do it. In case you're not familiar with the dangers of raw tagging. Raw tagging is a reversal. The startup is completely invulnerable, but the recovery is like 5 years, dude. Like you can get heavy counter hits several times over. It is incredibly dangerous if your opponent blocks a raw tag, and you will die. At a highest level play, you can throw in a raw tag here and there. Not at the highest level, I shouldn't say that. As you improve, you can throw in a raw tag here and there, but in general, get into the habit of not using it. Do not default to that as a help me out, get me out of here option. Was that 5 games? I thought that was 3. Y'all have 5 games. Get back in here. It's generally 5 if it's if it's 12 people or less. I usually prefer to do 5. 3 is just definitely not enough. But when we have more than 12-ish people, it ends up going on for hours and hours if we do 5. I did the math. At some point, like in 2016 or something. I did the math. You've just been playing with Kenji? Damn, that's rough. I love Kenji, but you're getting your ass beat so many times in a row. Very few people can handle that. He also has this effect. I don't know how he does this. But Kenji's got this really cool effect on people. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this, but he has a way of making you feel like you haven't improved at all. Lately, that hasn't been the case for me, which makes me feel really good. Like, lately, I still feel like I'm improving when I'm fighting him. But he has this way of playing that just makes you feel like, damn, I haven't changed in the last 3 months or something. It's really interesting. I'm like 1 in 30 this versus Kenji this week. Damn, you took a game? Nice. Shoot the shit in some of the times, it's not that bad. Oh, that's cool. I can dig it. I've been blessed and or cursed with the ability of never being tilted, with the exception of like if real life things are going on. But just from Skullgirls in a vacuum, like Skullgirls never gets me tilted. Oh, almost. That was almost a really nice confirm. Oh, almost well done. I don't know what you could have done to fix that, though. Like, I think that was a weird spacing thing, or maybe you should have pressed the normal faster when you did the re-jump. I'm not really sure. I shouldn't say re-jump, the second airstring, I guess. I don't know. Re-jump is usually something different. You're not doing a lot of TK beams, Turkos, as far as I can tell. Or not Turkos, sorry. Selfish King. You might want to start doing that, because honestly, normal beam pressure is completely dead. Like, you don't really need it. It's only there in case you make a mistake. So start practicing TK beams. That's like it's more of an intermediate bit of advice, but like, it's something that a role player needs to do if you're gonna play Robo, in my opinion. For those guys who don't know how TK beams work, it's quarter circle forward and then you press up forward before you press the beam button. So that way, the quarter circle part is buffered into your inputs, and then at the lowest height possible, like once you jump into the air from the up forward, you will get the beam. So if you do, it'll look like almost a half circle, like quarter circle forward, and then you'll end on up forward. It's like a really aggressive quarter circle forward. You press the beam button, and then just as you get off the ground, you'll do a beam. And then what you can do after that is you can do a TK beam into another TK beam, because you can jump cancel it. So you do the TK motion is the almost half circle. You do the TK motion, press beam, then do another TK motion while you're doing that beam to jump cancel it and do another beam. And then it'll let you get 2 beams out really, really fast, and then you'll land cancel and you'll cover from, like, faster than you would otherwise would from beam. There you go, there you go, you're doing it. I can dig it. Don't do it with HP though, do it with M-beam. H-beam is slightly annoying because it keeps your vertical momentum, so you end up floating upward. It's kind of weird. And gets you out of the height that you need to be at to be able to hit them with the second beam. Power punch. Oh, a little bit late on the cancel. That cancel is stranger than most people think. I don't know. Like, I drop that cancel a lot too. I don't know why. Light beam is pseudo-safe, remember that? Like, it's not actually safe, but you can end pressure on it. This applies to both players, where it's like, even if you go past the medium like I was talking about before, you can, and you go into a heavy, you can be like, oops, I went into a heavy. You can frame trap with a special. Frame trapping basically means that you didn't do a true block string, like they could have technically pressed the button in between. But you can catch some people trying to press a button if you like delay the cancel into a hairball or something like that. It's a little bit tricky to explain, but basically it just means wait a little bit after you do your heavy button and then go into a special, and then you'll punish people and stuff. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff is just like work on your fundamentals, don't hit confirm after the medium. Like start pressing more buttons if you're Bella, or even Philia. Like just like start like learning the map of your character in your head. One of the best ways to do that is obviously learn A, B, and B. This goes without saying, but this applies to everybody in the beginner bracket. If you are in the beginner bracket, and this is incredibly important, if you type !BNB into Twitch chat, you will get a link to the Skullgirls forums, the Skullheart forums, where there is a thread that will cover the basic combos you will need for every character. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing, they're there. So if you check that out, it won't tell you the most optimized combos by any means, but it will tell you all of the most common links that are used with your characters. So getting familiar with those combos is going to be incredibly important. I recommend being able to do the combos 10 times in a row in both directions inside the training mode. That is the most important thing. A lot of people think that, oh yeah, combos are great because they do a lot of damage and they take so long and all this other stuff. It's not really. Combo breakers are kind of like the gatekeeper, where it's like once you learn combos, then you can start learning more advanced stuff. You can start learning, because it just builds familiarity with your characters, and then we can start talking about resets, corner carries, optimizing. We can start talking about all these really cool things that we can't really do until you're just more familiar with the characters, and that's what the BMBs are there for. Alright, here we are, intermediate bracket, Reyes and J2. We were already talking about frame data, which is, I apologize for that, I guess. I don't know. I like the intent there. Oh wow, you went into the heavy. Reminder, don't go into the heavy if your opponent's blocking up the medium. Stancel, go, mix, do whatever you need to do. Also going for like forward heavy punch, I guess. So like, even that, it's a little weird. Blocks. This is annoying. Yeah, no. Just dash. Seriously, just dash. You're short. Just dash. The worst that can happen if you dash is to hit you with the beam and nothing happens. If you jump in the air and you get hit by a beam, you'll fly backwards. If you want to be really cool, you can block dash. So, I mean, you should already know about block dashing because that's a beginner thing. But basically, you can technically block while you're dashing forward. So press light punch and medium punch at the same frame, and what will happen is you'll get a shortcut for dashing forward. And just as you start moving forward, then you have to start blocking, and you'll be blocking the entire time for dash. No, you never have enough time to sing. Sing is garbage against Robo. Zoners are good enough in this game that Squig has a nightmare. Basically, pseudo-zoners, like characters like Double, Fuqua, you know, the people who have zoning tools but aren't actually true zoners, Parasol, those are the people that suffer from Sing. But Sing is not good against actual zoners. Gravedigger, okay, gonna pick up. OTG. Not the best route, but that's fine. Did what you could with the Hicken from your head. I respect it. Ending on Arpeggio, Seri Arpeggio specifically sucks, don't do that. Seri Arpeggio is not great on block. Or actually ever, really. Both Arpeggio and Seri Arpeggio are not great on block because your opponent can PBGC it. But Seri Arpeggio is, if I remember correctly, less safe on block than regular Arpeggio, but let me double check that.
Let's get a round of applause for our contestants.
Alright, let's focus a little bit more on J2 this time around.
I apologize in advance.
I don't.
Gentlemen and ladies, it's showtime!
Yeah, non-Seri Arpeggio is +1 while Seri Arpeggio is 0. That's so silly. So if you have tail charge, don't even bother using Arpeggio to make it safe. Like I mean, it makes it safe, I guess, but like, don't bother. It's not really worth it. You shouldn't have ended up in a situation where you need to use Arpeggio for that, anyways. I guess is what I should say. The problem is much earlier. Oh wow, you got a daisy there. That's crazy. Alright, anyways, so J2. Let's see. Hit right now. Ooh, got burst bait. I'm done. So you had a meter. When you burst bait, there's a thing in this game called Alpha Counter, where if you tap forward while you're blocking, you can if you tap forward and then press one of the tag inputs, then you will spend a meter and tag into that character to get a character out. So if Great Arsenic had proper damage routes, you would have lost Filia. In that situation, when you burst there, you should have done what's called a burst alpha counter, which is the same thing, but you can do it after you pop. So as soon as you pop that burst, tap forward, and then press a tag input, you'll spend a meter and switch into another character. And while that sucks, like, you'll probably take a lot of damage on the character and you might get snapped back in, but it'll help you get a character out. The reason I mention this is not that that was the best situation to do it, but because if you had 2 meter, you could have done a lot more. Because then you could have gone into a super, right? So say you like alpha countered in Filia and then went straight into Gregor. Now suddenly J2 is, or not J2, Great Arsenic is being hit by Gregor, and if they're being hit by Gregor, then you get the wall bounce into a full combo, right? Okay, so standing light punch is minus on hit for the people in the chat, but it has a lot of what's it called? Hit stun and or block stun. It's actually totally fine. The reason it's minus on hit is because it has a lot of recovery. So it basically just means you can't end a string on it. After you use standing light punch, you have to go into medium. Basically, is what it's for, or go into tier. You have to cancel it. It's not actually trash. There's a lot more that goes into a move than just his plus or minus on block and hit, obviously. In Arpeggio's case, there's multiple things bad about it, so there's actually no reason to use it. That's why I mentioned it. I seriously doubt Mike said that was a mistake. If Mike said that was a mistake, that blows my mind, because it seems so intentional. It just basically means you can't end on a light that's super disjoint, by the way. Nice stuff. Good stuff. You gotta start not using crouching medium kick in your first string, J2. So I mean, I'll link a video on scaling. You probably already have seen this or don't really need to know it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway, in case you want to check it out. But keep in mind how damage scaling works in this game is that every single hit you do reduces the damage that you're gonna do with your next attack. And the reason that you don't want to use crouching medium kick is because it hits 4 times and doesn't do that much damage. In general, how the math works out is you want to do a lot of strong single hit moves early in your combo, and then transition into whatever, like your multi-hitting moves into later in your combo. There you go, there's your crewmate, or overhead thing. Stuff. Nice falling kick, I like it. That's good stuff. That'll work on Squiggly every time, because Squiggly's, their 2 o'clock position is, like, blind. Or 210. You can't really punish that part. At least not against, like, a non-ban. The ban's big. Silva Cord. The only hit grab in the game that hits assist characters, because why not? Beam. You're using double jump before you use the beam. You're using a lot of falling beams. Oh, there's the TK beam. Gotta be lower to the ground, though. Yeah, this is something you gotta work on. Just like I was mentioning before in the previous matchup, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that route sucks. Because you cancel so early, your jumping hard punch so early, you might be able to get into a crouching light kick. Otherwise, just cancel an NSPO as soon as you touch the ground. Unfortunate, but something you gotta do. Nice. So where did the rockets go? Where did the rockets go? What happened? Whatever. Hidden missiles literally hidden. Alright, so I just want to reassure you, J2, that was the right idea. That was the correct thing to do in that situation. You would have interrupted her Diamond Dynamo, and you were safe, and you would have gotten a punish counter hit combo, which I mean is not that great because Robo doesn't do shit for damage. But like, it was the right idea. Jesus. I like the sound effects are still there. Like, they were clearly hitting somewhere. So it's like, what? They were hitting, like, the other corner for some reason? Like, what happened? Hashtag Bella privilege or something. I don't know. Is there a hashtag for that? I don't know. I'm not hip and happening with the kids. But the explosion sounds were still there, so the particles were still there, right? Like unless there was a sound bug, right? Because Bella might have punched him, but there were still rockets exploding somewhere, because you can hear them in the background. Total missing conditionals. That's a good point. J2U is going for the reset in the exact same spot over and over again. Right after first string. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about undizzy management, because both of you are resetting aggressively, which is the right mindset. Like, you kind of need to reset it pretty aggressively, usually after string 1 or 2. But not consistent. Like, if you think about what a reset is has two benefits, or several benefits actually. It reduces the meter that your opponent gets, it increases the meter you get. It resets scaling, so you can do your first string's damage again, right, which is pretty cool. And it also helps reduce your undizzy, the undizzy you build up on your opponent. Now, the first two benefits are barely noticeable. The third benefit is pretty cool, but like if you really consider only the last two benefits, which are the important ones, you are only getting half the benefit out of a reset if you don't let any undizzy build up before you reset anyways, right? If you reset first string or second string, you are not going to get shit for damage out of your entire set play. Like if you can hit that reset several times, but you're not actually getting any benefit out of it, because the undizzy is not actually ever being added in the first place, so nothing's being drained. So it's not like you're actually getting more hits in by any means. How many games is this for? Okay, we got one more. Routing out when you want your resets is incredibly important. That's where we get into set play, but that's like advanced. If there was an advanced bracket, that's where I'd be talking about it. I'd be talking about set play. I don't have a big enough brain for optimal set play for every character though, so that's why there will probably never be a beginner bracket. I mean, not beginner, an advanced bracket. It's also never a beginner bracket because Skullgirls is hard. But beginner is relative, I guess. Unlike particles when they're traveling through water. No more beginner. Throw. String again. Wait, what are you doing? Actually, I actually don't know. Are you trying to break your opponent's defense, or are you trying to... I don't know. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Go spaghetti. There's a whole bunch of up backing. Against Fortune, probably up forwarding. Fortune doesn't need to go for low throws, but her aerial movements usually have enough of a delay that you can up forward block whatever's happening. TK, not TK, sorry, land cancel, or whatever you need to. Well, if I got the news for you, the new character that was announced for 2021, Annie, will in fact have a dive kick. Record for string sucks, but you gotta do it. If you're interested, at that distance, you actually could have gone into the optimal meterless chargeless route, which does 7k and requires a chargeless stancel. Actually, you know what? Ignore that. Pretend I didn't say that, because I don't want you to practice chargeless stances right now. That is not what you need to do. Charge the stancels is advanced, because it's not that they're difficult to do, but it'll mess with your muscle memory. If you don't have the mental fortitude to be able to learn two completely different timings for stancels, I don't recommend it at all right now. You're already the best Annie player, only because Penny doesn't compete. I mean, Penny's gonna be playing Annie, because she looks like a baby Parasol, and so Penny's gonna lab the hell out of her. Her foot dive even looks like Parasol Stomp, which is kind of funny. It's also funny, like, obviously these aren't finalized numbers, but if you look at the end of the Annie trailer and see her how much damage she does against Beowulf inside of Skullgirls, for like 90 and Dizzy, she did like 8k damage. It was like really broken. Obviously they can't be the final numbers, but if it was, that'd be hilarious. Like one combo and your opponent's dead. And with the disjointed hitbox and stuff. Still tuning? Not sure what you mean. She has lore synergy with Beowulf. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. She's joining the Beo bandwagon, yeah. Yeah, she did 3 dive kicks in the combo and they built meter once. Which makes me think like... I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean, honestly. She's out on mobile currently, but they need a few months for the normal. The mobile one has significantly fewer animations. They're in at a lower frame rate as well, and they are not balanced like a true fighting game. The mobile is functionally a single-player game. They added a versus mode to it, but it was like a secondary thought, not an initial thought. To make them work in a Skullgirls game, you know, like a fighting game with at Skullgirls' quality. Like there's a lot more that needs to be done. Characters in fighting games are really hard to make, which is why I find it so funny that so many people try to make fighting games, because they do not give a return for your effort. The amount of work you have to put in to make a fighting game is completely disproportional to the amount of reward you get out of it, or popularity you get out of it. It's very unfortunate. Get that shit out of here. That was fine. All that was fine. You're not picking up a chair. The reason you're picking? Are you setting up to build hype? No, you went for a reset. You should have just picked up the chair when I was on the A train if you were just going to set up to build for hype. Now look at you. You're deprived of your chair. You're so far away. Alright. You should have kept going. Even if you got hit by that, it still would have worked out in your favor. Keep in mind that they're at trio scaling. You lost the character, I guess, which kind of makes it scarier. But, like, I don't know. I guess maybe work on that timing a little bit? I don't know. I don't know what to say. Or maybe, like, because if you could time pillar with the explosion, and you'd be fine. Nice. Vessel's reach always kills me. I was about to recommend that when Bale was throwing the chair like that, you should have dashed forward, or at least like you could block dash forward, but I think that actually would have worked out in Bale's favor. So it's kind of a good thing you didn't. I'm not positive about that though. M-Bang is -7. Light punishes, but M-Bang also pushes you back. So even with that frame data, it doesn't matter because your lights won't reach. There are character exceptions to that, such as Parasol. But they're few and far in between. Music on the stage sounds like Final Fantasy. I don't hear it. Maybe? I don't know. Too much jazziness in it. Like the chord progression itself is different enough that like Final Fantasy is very, very structured in a specific way, whereas the jazzy, it like swings between 2 different structures, 2 to 3 different structures, for that song specifically. Yeah, no, only half the time. I still feel like that. I don't know. There might be similarities in it more than more that I'm not noticing. I don't know. You done goofed, I think. You definitely done goofed. Doc. Oh my god, I can't believe you tried to dash and grab. I mean, I guess it's not much. You could have block dashed, I guess. But I probably wouldn't have. Block dashing is a really dope movement option in this game. Not enough people use it. It's like really, really legit. You could have also done level 3. Actually, did you have enough meter? Maybe you could have just done a wake up level 3 and then just used it to make a safe approach. Like, you gotta be really smart with Lenny there. Like, you can't take risks, otherwise you just lose like that. It's taking so much mental energy in me to convince myself that the Final Fantasy VII is not Final Fantasy VII. Like, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I should say, is not Final Fantasy VII. This Final Fantasy VII Remake, I have so many problems with it. The writing's just objectively worse, but the rest of the game is so good. It's just the writing that's really, really bad. And I'm not talking about a few specific situations, I mean like literally everywhere the writing is ass. They like changed a lot of dialogue and choreography in the game. They also, it's not an RPG anymore, it's more of a movie. I feel like I'm playing The Last of Us more than I'm playing a Final Fantasy RPG. But I mean, that's been pretty true for a lot of Final Fantasy games. Is it like Resident Evil 2? The Final Fantasy VII Remake is closer to Resident Evil 2 than the original Final Fantasy VII is, if that's what you mean. Final Fantasy VII Remake is less an RPG of you exploring everything, and more of it holding your hand and telling you where to go, and letting you experience the story in a very chronological fashion, which is unfortunate. They've even already discussed like that they're not really considering adding the open world in the second part, which is, again, unfortunate. They also, like, the weird pacing in the writing is... there's a lot of things I have problems with it. But basically, I'm trying not to compare it to Final Fantasy VII, because they're functionally two different games made by two different people. Completely written in different ways. Like, so... I feel like it's just like a spiritual successor more than, like, an actual... true remake of it. And I know, again, Final Fantasy VII Remake is not a remaster, it's a remake. It's a ground-up reimagining of things. And that's fine. That's good. Final Fantasy 13 with the story of 7. Yes. That is a decent way of looking at it. It's more like Kingdom Hearts with the story of 7. Because it's written by the same guy who wrote Kingdom Hearts. And for anyone who's played Kingdom Hearts, you know that that's not a good thing. There is a lot of love for the original in that game, though. That's what makes it so hard to distinguish between 7 and 7 Remake. Why am I talking about Final Fantasy? Because there's not much to talk about here. Y'all are playing well. Playing swell. There are small, specific decisions that I can point out. Bit of consistency issues here and there. Like the, like the, why didn't you pick up the chair? Like, things like that. But for the most part, you guys are just playing Skullgirls. Which is good. Like, that's a good sign. It means you guys just gotta practice more, just gotta clean up, guys gotta optimize a little bit more. There are lots of tips and tricks here and there I can point out, like light brass is safe, so end block strings and light brass. But I don't know, it's like when you're good enough with a character, you kill your opponent's character quickly enough that it's so hard to actually really give advice back and forth. You know what I mean? Oh, so you understand that teleport. Unfortunate. That could have been the dream. Why air show, George? Light George. I do like George. Unfortunate. That was actually a pretty smart idea. Grab there. Not that reset. I like that. Uh-oh. No, unfortunately, that eager does not protect you from life. Or did you mistime it? No, I don't think that it protects you from Lenny. Lenny doesn't... Lenny does kind of... Wait, does Lenny kind of projectile? I don't know how things work. Peacocks is just annoying. You have macros set for Squiggly Stancils. What are you doing? Don't use a macro for Squiggly Stancils. It's horrible. The reason that's horrible is because so people who don't play Squiggly, I'll explain after this match, alright? Remind me after this match. I'll explain why you never want to use macros for Squiggly Stancils. It is a very bad idea. There's one setup in the game where Squiggly Stancil macro will help you. Just one. And it is very specific. Alright, nice snipe. What's your reaction? You're gonna jump into Lenny. Didn't get hit by it. Fuck you. You gotta respect your wake-up more. I mean, you're playing a solo local dump, so this is gonna be always hard for you, right? But you need to be able to apply safer pressure, right? If you can run in, you can't just go in guns blazing. Otherwise, you need an assist. The most generally accepted use of assist is when your opponent's waking up, you call assist to apply pressure while you down back. So if your opponent presses a button, they get hit and you don't, right? It's done, like that simple. When you're playing solo, you gotta be extra smart. You can set up anything needy, like throwing out a tier, so that if they wake up and press a button, they'll just be hit by the tier, or they're forced to block it if they block it. You know what I mean? You gotta keep your spacing very specific. If you're gonna play a character solo, Parasol's a good character to do it with, because her neutral tools are fantastic. But you gotta take advantage of that. You can't just dash in and press a button. You might have just mistimed it, and maybe I'm railing on you too hard for that, but I don't know. Final game. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly talk about why Squiggly Stancil macros are horrible. Squiggly has a shortcut for stanceling where you press 2 punch buttons at the same time, but that only works on hit. So if you hit your opponent with a crouching medium kick and standing hard punch, if you press light punch and medium punch and heavy punch at the same frame, you will get a stancil, which is great, right? Well, it doesn't have to be same frame, like they just have to be both pressed on a frame at the same time. In that situation, you'll get a stancil, which is great. Like, it's like, oh wow, I didn't have to do the chorus look motion. In general, you always want to do the chorus look motion, because if they blocked it, if you mistimed it a little bit, if you messed up, then what will happen is that you will not get a stancil. So you'll just be stuck pressing standing hard punch, and you will not stancil out of it, and you will be in full recovery, and your opponent will punish you 100% of the time. There is, in block strings, it's just such a good habit to build, to always do the chorus look forward motion. If you set it as a macro, if you use a macro for light punch, medium punch, or whatever, that takes away from the practice of using cortical forward, because if your left hand was wrong, you'll still get the stancil when you're pressing the assist button or whatever on hit. And while that's still somewhat true without the macro, but that macro could be used for so many other things instead. You always do the cross look forward. That's good. Just macro instead of 2 punch buttons. I would still recommend doing the 2 punch button. In general, it helps you also build practice of block dashing too, right? Pressing 2 punch buttons. Technically, you can use the macro for that too, but I don't recommend it. Depending on what. Okay. If you do want to use macros for stancils, there is something interesting you can do, and I'm not talking about that one setup I was talking about before, which is way above anyone's skill level here. There is one setup which is really, really interesting, and that is, if you press light punch and medium punch once, you get a dash, right? If you press it twice, you get a dash jab. So you get a micro dash jab out of it. If you press light punch, medium punch, light kick, you will, the first time you press the macro, you will get a dash again, which is awesome, so you can still use it as a dash macro. But you will also, if you press it again, you'll get micro dash grab. So if you set that up as your macro, you can choose if you want a micro dash grab button or a micro dash jab button also. So now suddenly the macro is playing 3 different purposes at the same time, which is nice. Your macro 1 is stancils, push block, and IED at the same time. I mean, alright. I just don't like the idea of using macros when you don't need to, so maybe that's just me. If it's working for you, I say keep doing it. But like, I firmly believe that if it's an input that your character can do if it's a very natural input, there's no reason to do it. I guess, alright, you know what, I'm gonna go back and, like, I shat on using the macro for, like, literally a minute. If it's working for you, just go ahead and keep using it. Like, I won't rail on it too hard. Like, I'll go back on my word. All right, I won't rail on you too hard for that. If it's working for you, keep using it. This is a very personal opinion, I guess, where that like I think that macro is completely pointless. Actually, you know what, your local dunce, you bring up a good point. The only thing I can really rail you to on is consistency. Do your combos 10 times in a row in the lab with all of your characters. Seriously, stop dropping combos. And I'm actually trying to up how mean I sound with that, because like, you know, you guys are playing fine. But like, I want to be mean when I say that, because I need you guys to do that. That is how you're gonna level up your play. If you guys are 100% consistent with your combos, you are now hitting that next level of play that you need to hit. Once you hit that next level of play, then we can start talking about optimizing and getting consistent with those. If you understand how much work you have to put in to be consistent with the combo, it'll be easier next time. And I don't want you to get consistent. I don't want you to skip steps and get consistent with a combo that you're not ready to be consistent with. Trying to get used to a new controller? Oh, okay. Don't get angry. If you're getting used to a new controller, then it'll take time. It'll take a couple months. Frank shitting on you for... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's so incredibly important. Consistency is key in any fighting game. And Skullgirls, where you have no excuse to not really be consistent, because there's so many generous buffers and all that stuff, like, you have to. You just absolutely have to. The only excuse some people have is because some of the combos are actually hard, like they're 2-frame links, 3-frame links, or they have manual timing issues, like almost every optimal robo combo, and even some of the banned optimal corner combos, like they get hard, they get really, really tricky. But if you can't get consistent with the easy ones, you're never going to get consistent with the hard ones. And that does not mean just play more, it means literally put in very specific work. Find visual cues, like drill it into your fingers. 10 times in a row, in the lab, both directions, every character. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of homework, but you're at that level of play. You guys are good now. Alright, your local dunce and dog, you guys are good. Now it's, if you want to improve, it gets harder. It's a lot more work, and it's time to do it. And if you do it, the reward for it will be immense. Like, you will be playing at an incredible level if you are consistent. And then we can optimize, and then we can get into set play. And when you get into set play, now you can win tournaments. Once you have optimized set play, that's it. It's over. Like, you win majors. You beat Sonic Fox. No one has optimized set play right now. So there are 2 more steps left. You guys can do it. 3 more steps. Consistency, optimize, set play. Your Kato is falling far behind? I don't know what that means. Your new bottleneck in execution on your defense. Execution on your defense? Absolute guard charge move is hard, and I die when I mess it up. That's... Okay, so you can lab that. But I don't... Okay. This is the StarCraft player in me talking. The first mistake you make is the most important one. This is something that's an incredibly important thing, and not a lot of people agree with me in fighting games for this, but this is the most crank advice you're gonna get. The first mistake you make is the most important one. Everything else that happens afterwards is related to that first mistake you made. If you never made that first mistake, you never end up making those other mistakes. Not building enough SCVs. Yeah, no. That's also obviously a mistake. But that would be the root cause of your problem, right? If you're like, damn, how do you get 10 battle cruisers in my base when I only have 3 void rays? That's not fair. Then what you can do to fix that is make more SCVs. Everything afterwards, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you shouldn't have been making void rays. It doesn't matter that you built all your stuff powered by 1 pylon. The first mistake you made is you didn't build enough SCVs, and that's how all those other problems ended up scaling. Maybe if you had more money, you would have been able to make more pylons. Maybe if you had more money, you would have had a little bit more time to think about it and adjust and scan maybe your opponent or whatever, and then like tech switch into something that was better against stuff. You know what I mean? Your first mistake is always letting your Reaper die. True that. But in all seriousness, the first mistake you make is the most important one. If you find yourself, and I know not many people agree with me on this, but this is incredibly important in my opinion. If you find yourself blocking and needing to use Absolute Guard Pillar or Absolute Guard Reversal out of pressure, you've already fucked up. You already made a mistake. You should not have ended up there in the first place. You fucked up in neutral. So when you say that you need to work on your absolute guard defense or whatever, that'll just come with practice. Because inevitably, people will make mistakes in neutrals. People will have to lose neutral. It's a good game. That's how it happens, right? If you lose in neutral, that you will practice absolute guard. You can lab it out, but it will not improve your play. What will improve your play is your neutral. What will improve your play is not getting into a situation where you have to use absolute guard in the first place. While it would be nice to be good at absolute guard and absolute guard charge move reversals, whenever you do need to use it, that comes second. The first thing is not getting there often in the first place. People are often so reckless in their offense because it's easy in Skullgirls, and when people run into who can defend, they explode. I mean, that's a style choice, right? Like, that means you're a reactionary player. You want to defend things and break. But the opposite is also true. In Skullgirls, offense is so powerful that just from pressing buttons and being reckless, you're so likely to open up people. You're so likely to crack people's defenses, because Skullgirls has really ambiguous bullshit. If you find yourself blocking, it might be over for you. Imagine being in a corner with a full trio and a solo fortune. It doesn't even have to be a solo fortune. You might have killed two characters. If the third character was a fortune, a trio fortune, anchor trio fortune, had you in the corner, and you still have all three of your characters, you might just lose. You might literally just lose right there. It doesn't matter how good your defense is. Because how many times can you flip a coin correctly? And I'm not saying that Skullgirls is all about coin flips. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that setups in this game are so powerful that you can't trust your defense. You absolutely cannot trust your defense. So yes, you're right. Having proper defense will help you blow up some people as a reactionary player. But wouldn't it be better if you just got better at calling assist while downbacking? So if your opponents are being reckless, they hit the assist and you punish. Or if your opponents were pressing buttons out of pressure, they get punished by your assist, and then you can convert. Boom. Cleaner offense. Cleaner neutral. Cleaner decision making. You didn't need to block. You didn't need to use any absolute guard. I mean, you did sort of block, but like not really. You didn't need to use absolute guard or anything like that. Just better assist timing, cleaner neutral. You win. Remember that to win the game, your goal is to get your opponent's health bar to 0. Now, that's not me saying that. That's Kenji talking. The inner Kenji in me is telling you right now. To win the game, you gotta get your opponent's health bar to 0. You're not gonna get that by blocking. You're gonna get that by hitting your opponent. It's to end the round with more life. I mean, also true. That is... Well, actually, no, you can't say that. You play Bayo Band. That never happens to you. You don't get that. Happens when he plays Graham. Also, I mean, I guess... I don't know. Happens when Bayo dies in the first 10 seconds. Oh, so what you're saying... So this is how my brain works. So what you're saying is the reason you lost is because your Bayo's health bar hits 0 in the first 10 seconds. Not because it timed out. Not because you were suddenly forced to play Peacock. But because you lost Bayo in the first 10 seconds. The reason you lost is because you're bad. Well, I mean, I promise you, everyone's bad. There is not a single good Skullgirls player out there. Some people will hate me for that, but there's no such thing as a good Skullgirls player right now. There are players who are doing better than other players, but there's no good Skullgirls player. The closest to that was Sev. In my personal opinion, Sev was probably the best Skullgirls player out there. She doesn't play in tournaments anymore. She canceled herself, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened with that. That one was weird. I just felt like she wanted an excuse to not play in tournaments anymore, honestly. Yeah, Sev is the one player I respected. Yeah, she's just... I mean, okay, so... Real talk. Sev never had the best... Not like the... She never had the most cheerful personality. Like, she was always pretty, like, harsh to people. But when it came to her Skullgirls play, there was no other player I admired more. Like, her play was fantastic. And for some reason, someone pointed out the fact that she can be a bully sometimes. And I don't know if she took it personally or if she's just like, finally, a reason not to play Skullgirls anymore. But that encouraged her to say, it's like, I'm never playing in a tournament again because I understand that I'm making people uncomfortable. And I'm like, that seemed weird, but it's her decision, right? Like, I'm not gonna say that she made the wrong decision. I guess it's a very personal choice. Up to her. I wish she didn't do that though. There are other players who have like certain aspects about them that I respect, but like Lex, I will always respect Lex. I think Lex has been pushing. He's like one of the only players that is still trying to push characters beyond their limits, which I think is really cool. It's just it's still not getting anywhere. It's not winning him games or winning him tournaments. I guess it's winning him games, but definitely not tournaments. Just turns him into a lab monster mostly. I admire Guilt a lot. He's just the coolest person. He's such a friendly guy. I love Guilt a lot. And also he's like the only person I know that can play like 6-7 teams at almost the exact same skill level. He literally is the only person that can elaborately counterpick a team. It's very fascinating and almost impossible to practice against, or prepare for, I guess I should say. Because literally any team you have, he has a counterpick for it. He knows like every team and set play for all of them. The guy is insane. Is he clean? Is he optimal? No. He still needs to work. He's got some consistency to build, and that's gonna be hard to build when you're playing inconsistent teams, right? Your team choice is inconsistent, so it's hard to build consistency on a foundation that's already inconsistent. But he struggles with autopilot. I say the opposite is well. Okay. You know what? This is a hot take. This is gonna be a hot take. I think Guild's problem is he doesn't autopilot enough. I think if he just sticked to what he knew and just like let his muscle memory take over, he would have been fine. But he overthinks. It almost feels like he overthinks a lot because he like fumbles, he'll drop combos, he'll like improvise a lot, and it's like, well, he can. If there's any player that can do it, he can do it. But like, I think that's hurting him. But I don't know. That's a take. I understand that one might not be true. That one's a bit of a take. Regardless, there's no one. My point is that people aren't good at Skullgirls right now, and we can all work hard to get there. This is my encouraging speech. That's it. That's all I want to say. It's like everyone here has the potential to become a good Skullgirls player. You make use of your time and see what you can do with it. What does good Skullgirls look like? You can't even imagine. I can show you what good Skullgirls looks like at a later time though, because I really have to use the bathroom. So I'm gonna leave. Thank you all for joining me today. It was a fun time. Keep in touch. The VODs will be up soon. If you like what you saw here and want to see more of it, we're back every Saturday. Next week will be the lab stream. And if you want to apply the skills that you're practicing, join our Wednesday Be Great tournament. 4th week of the month is the prize pool tournament. No fee to sign up or anything. Just sign up. This Wednesday evening, you get a chance at $50. It's great. What else? You guys are awesome. You all are fantastic. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the Skullgirls family for those of you guys who are new here. What else? There was one other thing I wanted to say. Can't remember it right now, so screw it. Alright. Oh, that's right. Sorry. If you guys have any additional questions on any comments I made or felt like I didn't say enough, feel free to just timestamp the VOD and send it to me. Send it to me in the Get Gr8 channel in the Discord, and I will happily give you more advice. On top of that, if you want detailed VOD review, there's almost always an army of people in the Get Gr8 Discord that are willing to help. Just type !Discord and join that if you aren't a part of that. Farewell, friends.